Okay, welcome back everybody. Let's go ahead and let's put on some music up in here and make it a little bit easier for us to kind of chill and relax on this one. Turn it up a little bit. And there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get to it. A couple things, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be creating a play area and creating some collectibles, and we're going to try to do this as fast as possible because really we don't have that much to do, so let's aim for like a 10-minute video. Alright, first off, let's go ahead and create an empty object. This is where we are going to host all of our walls, contain them, so to speak. This is our parent element. Make sure you always click that reset button, even though we really don't need it. Alright, next up, we're going to create a 3D object, and it will be a cube. We want it to have some kind of solid surface. We want it to have a box collider. We're going to reset that position, pressing Alt. Now I'm pressing the middle scroll wheel, changing its position. That way we can kind of see it, and you can kind of see what's going on here. Let's go ahead and let's transform this thing. Let's give this thing a position of 10, right on the edge of that. So we're going to actually rotate this around because this is going to be our west wall, and we should probably rename that cube to west wall. And then we're going to scale this thing. We're going to scale it 0.5, change its thickness. We're going to change it to 2. We're going to change its height, and we're going to change its length, which will be 20.5. And it covers the whole thing. We are good to go there. It looks fantastic. But we have to add a few more things. A couple more things to add. First thing that we're going to want to do is change its color. So for this wall, we're going to click on it. We're going to create actually a material for walls. So I'm gonna do it again for you. Right, so inside of the materials folder, this is what yours should look like. We're going to right click and do create material, and that's going to be for walls. And this material will have the RGB value 79, 79, and 79. And it should be this color, there's like this grayish color. We will change its smoothness to a 0.25, which is like a matte type of finish. And then let's actually give it that color. So left click it, hold it, drag it, drop it, and there is our wall. Perfect. Let's actually click this, drag it under walls. That way it becomes a child element. Now we're going to duplicate it, move it to the other side. So click it, Control D, rename it East Wall. And then if it's at a position of 10 over here, -10, we'll put it on the other side. Check that out. Holding down Alt to rotate. Cool. Now let's duplicate it again. Left click. Now Control D. And then I will rename this. Let's do this one North Wall. Let's see if we can get this thing flipped and then put on this side over here. So if we're going to flip it, we need to rotate it. So go to the Y. The Y will rotate it around the Y axis, which is the green one. It rotates it around that. Okay, and then we are going to want to change its X position to 0 and its red position, which looks like its Z position, to 10. Oh, we want -10. Cool. All right, next up, we're going to want to duplicate that and change that to south wall. And then we change it from a -10 to +10. And we have our walls. And if we press play, we should see that the ball, come on, baby. Come on, baby. Bounces. And the reason it bounces, by the way, is because we did create it out of a cube 3D object, and that cube, as you see, already has a box collider, and because this ball already has a rigid body collider to go along with it, the physics are there for us, and it won't go through it, so that's good for us. Cool. So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to create a new 3D object. It will be a cube, but we will rename this cube Pickup. These are going to be collectibles that we are going to have. We're going to put these collectibles around the arena. You'll notice that it is below the arena, so remember what we need to do: reset its position. But you'll notice once again, I move it over here, which you should probably end up moving it over there as well too, because we're going to want to like drop a bunch of these all around it. So just go ahead and move it over here. But you'll notice that if we zoom in, half of it's under the stage. Remember, everything has a scale of 1. So if we move half of it up, it will be located just on top of it. We are good to go. But let's rotate it now. 45, 45, 45. And let's make it smaller by like a half. Oh. That makes it much smaller. It gives us more room, because when we rotate this thing, we're going to want to make sure it doesn't touch the ground, and that it's, you know, kind of smaller than our player themselves. So we're looking good right now, looking very good. What we're going to want to do is create a new material for our pickup. And that color, we're going to make it like a yellow. So like, change this to like a 200, change this one to like a 0, and it should be like a nice yellow. And that's really all we need to change for the color. Let's change the pickup to that color, to that cube. So left click, hold, drag. And now we have an object that should rotate. But it won't. Actually, it won't rotate just yet. And I know why. Because we never put an actual script with the rotation. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to the pickup. We've done everything but given it the ability to rotate. So new script, rotator. Click it, drag it over to scripts. And oh, it looks like actually I already made it. Called rotator, and the code looks like this. Now you can find the code, by the way, if you go to creating collectibles in the Unity Learn. This video right here, rotate the pickup game object, goes through it, and she discusses what she does fantastically, so you're probably going to want to watch that. The code looks like this right here if I open it up. Transform.rotate, and it makes the vector change 15 on the X, 30 on the Y, 45 in the Z axis, and that's time dependent, and that's per. Delta means like a change in time, like a very small increment in time, and that small increment would be per second. So it rotates this thing per second, more in the Z, less in the Y, and little in the X direction. And so now if we press play, it rotates, and that is beautiful. That was given to us. Okay, so next thing you're going to want to do is we're going to want to create a prefab. I already created a folder called prefabs. You are going to want to do the same. Right click, create folder. That will create your prefab folder right here. And then inside that folder, what you're going to want to do is that pickup that we made, you're going to want to left click it, drag it into this folder, and now you have a prefab. And a prefab is an object that you create once and has all these properties. We have colors, we have a rotation to it, we have an offset, like we have all these little things that we've done to it. But imagine if I wanted to put 50 of these objects in there. I'm not going to redo all of this stuff 50 times. It just doesn't make sense. So what I will do is I'll put it into a prefab, and then when I'm ready, I'll just duplicate it, and then it duplicates it around the game map. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to click that Y, which will give me a top view. And then what you should do up here, and this wasn't really explained that well in the video, click local, change it to global. So when I click pickup, I can move it around as it relates to the global positioning not to the relative positioning of the object. So for example, This is global positioning right now. You notice that the X, Y, and Z go straight up, straight down as relates to the X axis. So the Y is up here, X is left, and the Z is right. It looks just like this, right? If I did local to this thing, you can see this was its original X, this was its original Y, and this was its original Z rotated on an axis. So I'm going to click global. I'll go back to top. So when I duplicate this object, left click Control D, I can move it and it will stay on the ground, which is exactly what we want. So this is the easy part. Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D, and just create a bunch of them. The instructions say you only need 12. And make them look nice, I guess. Now I am definitely not counting how many I have. Looks like I will need one more though. Cool. And now if I go change my view, hold Alt, change the view, you'll see they're all above the ground by about the same amount. If I click play, they all rotate and we have collectibles now. And this is an 11.5-minute video. We aimed for 10. We got close. We did a good job. And I will see you all on the next video.